Hello everybody. Thank you, Chris, for the small introduction. My name is Ulrich. I consider myself an expert in Internet of Things with a special focus on home automation, in software engineering and systems integration. If you want to know more about me, go to my webpage ulno.net. You have seen that I actually didn't list security as one of my fields of expertise, so I will talk today about security out of the view of a software engineer. Because even if I'm a software engineer, I think security is very important, and dealing with the Internet of Things, I've seen more and more that people are not thinking much about security. So I want to encourage you to pay attention to Internet of Things and especially its security. Let's not make an Internet of broken things. So what are the causes for this brokenness or for this breakage? So one of the main causes I have seen in the time I was dealing with Internet of Things systems is that most Internet of Things systems use a star topology. A star topology means that all devices you deploy are connected to one single node, so usually one computer in the cloud. And there might be some routers or stuff in between which allow these devices to access the internet, but basically with having this one node in the cloud, you allow an automatic backdoor. So if something on this node doesn't work well, then you can actually go back. So there are lots of companies which actually assume that they can do these updates in a good manner for the devices, but often it's such a plethora of devices and different versions of devices that they actually can't. One big example is not really Google, but all the subsidiaries of Google using Android and creating Android phones. So you have so many Android phones which cannot be updated and so are vulnerable to the attacks I am describing soon. Another problem is that the clients are actually not putting the Internet of Things devices on a separate network, but on the same network as all the other infrastructures. There's no separation between the Internet of Things devices as from the desktop computers and laptops and phones. And so if one of these devices is compromised, they can compromise all the other devices because they're in the same network. And another problem is that in Internet of Things systems, you often have devices which come with default passwords. So one famous example is routers or video cameras. And if these passwords are widely known and easily to guess, because then the manual of respective device, then people can log into this device without actually knowing the passwords. And as end consumers are usually very convenient, they don't change the password. So you have to think about the policies, how to bring the people to do these password changes or just generate random passwords for these devices. So as promised, I wanted to talk about 3 specific cases where the Internet of Things became an Internet of broken things. So the first is a case where lots of webcams attacked critical infrastructure. Then the second and the third are cases which come from very old implementations of the Wi-Fi standard. So we are using WPA2, where one of the most recent updates is actually from 2009, which helps in security, but lots of networks out there, lots of client devices and router devices don't support the new standards and so are very old and vulnerable. And there are 2 attacks which are still very successful in hindering these devices or getting data out of these networks, which I want to mention here. So first, as promised, I will talk about the zombie networks, about devices which are taken over through default passwords. So you have heard about the case where lots of baby cameras and security cameras have attacked critical infrastructure. So there was a case 2 years ago where 1 million of these devices attacked the website of a security researcher. You might say, okay, that's not so bad if the website of a security researcher is attacked. But you could also attack any other website, maybe a website from a hospital or from a service provider or from a business building, and this can create serious harm. The second case is called the Deauth Attack. So you can build a very cheap device, so especially with the small computers I also use for building my IoT system, so I can for $2.50 build such a device. And with this device, you can basically disconnect any non-updated device from the internet. So you can basically go to a conference and disconnect everybody who's using the Wi-Fi access point from the internet. If you can imagine, this applies also for other hardware devices, non-computers, and which can be life supporting. So in hospitals or other service institutions, this can have a serious effect. You can protect yourself against this attack if both the router and the client device use this updated Wi-Fi protocol. But if one of them, so the router doesn't have the latest update, then your Windows can be updated to the latest version, but still I can de-authenticate your Windows computer from the respective Wi-Fi network. The third attack I want to talk about is the Krack attack. So you think that WPA would give you an encryption in a Wi-Fi network, and this is also its goal. However, this attack allows you to basically read any clear text data which is sent over an encrypted WPA network. So even if you think you are protected, the data can be read. Only if you take another layer of encryption, so you have a VPN and go somewhere else into the cloud, then you can be sure that your data can't be read. But if you have some forms, company forms with data you fill, or have something in a hospital, patient data is transferred, then this can all be read. And you can see, you can lose identities or very business-specific data, and this can lead to very serious liability costs or other costs with losing your secrets. So what can you do against such attacks? So first suggestion from me is think about the architecture. Not think only about security and encryption, but also think, are there different levels, are there different physical infrastructure you can use to model your security? Can you do gateways? Can you do firewalls? Are there different areas of responsibility? So this you can actually catch with a layered architecture. Then you might also think, do I always have to do wireless? Yes and no. Wireless is very convenient for the Internet of Things, but wireless is inherently less secure than a wired network. Because for wireless, you often don't even need physical access to the devices. So think about where you want to use wireless and where not. And another suggestion I can give is to find errors quicker, to react quicker. Think about communities, think about your users, think about who's interacting with your product or project, and bind them into the development and the maintenance of it. So you will get better support and you get better abilities to audit. Maybe even open parts of your system to the greater public, make it open source or more active, have a big community, and this even further can enhance the ability to audit your system or update your system. But in the end, I want you to think about security not only in the planning phase. I want you to build security into your lifecycle management and also build your security into the maintenance of your system or project. Because then you can prevent these attacks to happen, or you can at least react to such attacks and fix them quickly, and hopefully then we can together prevent breaking the Internet of Things and instead facilitate a more widespread use of the Internet of Things and reap the benefits of using the Internet of Things for our ideas, projects, and inventions. So thank you for listening to my talk. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you here at PMI. If there are any questions, please feel free to talk here to my co-presenters or go to my website, and please don't hesitate to ask questions and contact me. I would love to hear from you. Thank you.